Hello, and welcome to Web of McWhorter, Episode 3, or Spoilers. I'm calling this one Spoilers because today I'm talking about the issue of Amazing Spider-Man where Gwen Stacy dies. This is a reprint. This is Marvel Tales. I don't have the original because I'm not that cool. This is from 1978. If you know anything, Amazing Spider-Man issue 121 where Gwen dies actually came out in 1972. So I've got a cheap knockoff. Yay. I also want to talk a little bit about the Amazing Spider-Man sequel coming up because Gwen Stacy might very well die in that movie. They're introducing Mary Jane into the cast, and that's a little bit foreshadowing for me. In this issue, it starts out with Peter coming back from Canada with this big thing that he was doing with the Hulk in Canada, and he's going to visit his friend Harry Osborn, who is recovering, who is actually detoxing because he's a heroin addict. And when he gets there, he has to sneak in because, as you can imagine, Norman Osborn being the Green Goblin, there's some issues between Norman and Peter, and Norman has issues with Peter being friends with his son, because Norman's crazy. Gwen and Mary Jane are already there because they're friends with Harry. And when Peter comes in, Norman flips out and he's like, "You're not supposed to be here." Technically, he doesn't really remember that Peter is Spider-Man. In the issue where Green Goblin uncovers the identity of Spider-Man and uses it against him, that story arc ends with with Norman Osborn receiving amnesia from an explosion. And so he forgets all of that conveniently. But in this issue, it's going to come rushing back to him. He gets angry at Peter being there. They have a little verbal confrontation. He asks him to leave. At that point, he gets so mad that he kind of has a trigger in his memory that brings everything rushing back. He goes back to his lab at Oscorp, re-injects himself with the Oz serum, puts on the costume, hops on the glider, and decides to kill Spider-Man once and for all. There's no big scheme or grand plan or any kind of bank robbery that's going to happen to cheese up the story. It's a classic revenge tale. He's gunning straight for Peter Parker. And the first place he goes to is Gwen Stacy's apartment. And he kidnaps her and takes her to the top of the George Washington Bridge, is what the original script said, is that she's at the top of the George Washington Bridge. The artist for that issue drew the Queensboro Bridge. Guess he didn't live in New York at the time. But they changed that, and it's the George Washington Bridge. That is the official record. So they're on top of the bridge. Spider-Man is feeling a little bit weak because he got a cold in Canada fighting with the Hulk in the snow. And so he doesn't really have his full strength. He fights the Green Goblin. He's able to fend him off for a little bit. But then when he goes to try and rescue Gwen, the Goblin recovers on his glider, goes back up to the top of the bridge, picks her up before Spider-Man can get to her, and just tosses her off without a word. Spider-Man runs over to the edge, shoots his webs down to try and grab her. And I'm going to find this picture for you because it's pretty chilling. As you can see there, it hits her legs, and if you see that little word there by her head, it says snap. That's her neck breaking. And when he pulls her up, she's dead. And that's pretty much the end of the issue. Spider-Man vows to kill Norman Osborn one way or the other, and then you get the second half of this story. Oh god, this is huge. Which is this thing that I have a poster of, issue 122. He doesn't kill Norman Osborn because his conscience pulls him back at the last minute, so it's super gay. But this is this, in the opinion of many people that write about comic books and do this professionally, aside from me who does this as a hobby, they say that this issue right here, Amazing Spider-Man issue 121, is the beginning of the Bronze Age of comics. It's the end of the Silver Age, which is a lot more docile and very kid-friendly. The Bronze Age is where they start showing more blood. They start killing off main characters left and right, not just in Spider-Man, in every comic book title. So the Bronze Age is basically when comic books become badass. T-O-O-P-I-D.
Yeah, stupid.
So my opinion on this issue, the art is really good. It's one of my favorite artists. He's in my top 5. John Romita. His son draws Spider-Man later. John Romita Jr. So the writing is really good. They came up with this story in one night, and they finished the comic, and they were going to put the issue out because they had permission from the CEO, and it was time anyway. It was time for the issue to come out, and they were really going to go and talk to Stan Lee, the editor of Marvel Comics at the time, as a formality. When they told him about the story, he was completely shocked they were going to kill off the love interest of the main hero, because no one had ever done this before in comic books. It was the first time ever. And you can look for it, you won't find it. So, I mean, this is a turning point in comic books. Like I said, many people consider this the end of the Silver Age. And they had a 50-50 chance of this story succeeding, and they went for it, and it was a rewarding experience for the writers because, I mean, they've reprinted this story several times. I have one of them. And, everybody involved with it is basically a legend at this point. So for that reason, I give it a 5 out of 5. Now I want to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man sequel coming out because I believe that they're going to kill off Gwen Stacy. They're introducing Mary Jane into the cast. When they do that in the comic books, it's because they're going to kill off Gwen. We're not going to get the kind of relationship in the movies that they had in the comic books. They're very close at this point, so it was either have them get married or kill her off, and they chose the kill her off option. They've leaked photos of Gwen and Peter kissing at their graduation, which looks stupid. Being all stupid with their mouths and their tongues and their hands going places that they shouldn't, because this is a PG-13 film, okay? Anyway, Electro's going to be in the movie. Norman Osborn's going to be in the movie, but I seriously doubt that they're going to throw him in as the Green Goblin because he wasn't even in the first movie. This is going to be an introduction for his character. They're going to introduce Harry Osborn as well. So maybe Electro's going to kill her. Will she get thrown off of a bridge? Who knows? She could get electrocuted to death, which would be way more brutal, in my opinion. And I do think, though, speculation aside, I think it would be a good move to kill her off. If you're going to introduce Mary Jane in the second film, then you need to get rid of the original love interest, because everybody knows where you're going with Mary Jane. It's obvious. She's a walking spoiler like Sean Bean. So, yeah, let's talk about that. Leave comments down there below telling me what your opinion is. What do you think is going to happen in the next Amazing Spider-Man film? I have nothing else to say now, so like, subscribe, go find my Facebook page, and I'm not going to say Excelsior this time. Fuck you.